Good evening, WPS parents. How are we? Thank you so much for coming to the lower school music concert. Our first through third graders and myself and Ms. Darkota are so overjoyed to share with you the love and music we have worked on this semester. Thank you for coming. I also like to thank those of you who are watching online, because this event is our first music event that is being live streamed on YouTube, being shared on our Facebook page. And for those people who can't make it, it's a great way for you to be able to watch and for afar relatives as well. This is also our next announcement. This is our last fine arts event in the gymnasium ever. Isn't that exciting? We have our new Cypress Center opening up. Our new Cypress Center is opening up. The opening gala is September 12th, 2018, although it will be open at the beginning of the school year for classes. So as soon as our first grade friends are all sitting down and ready, we'll get started with the first number right away. Yeah. We just have a couple people who are just looking for a seat. I want to make sure everyone's situated. I apologize for the delay. Thank you so very much. That was the time-honored classic, Mary Had a Little Lamb. I'm sure most of us sang that in our early days. I use this song to help introduce the concept of solfege. For those of you who are not aware, it's not just a fun little thing in The Sound of Music, if you all saw it. our students put it on. It's a musical tool for teaching. There are two systems, movable do and fixed do. On our pedagogy, we use movable do, which allows our students to understand the relationships between notes and their distance, learning a very rudimentary form of ear training to help spur their cognitive abilities towards greater heights in music. Up next, we have our another favorite of our younger years tunes. It's Brother John. Originally, it was a French poem. It's called Frère Jacques, but we are singing English today, and I hope you enjoy it. So on our journey in music, the first thing I really like to do with beginning music students is really ground their sense of time. How the music happens. Can you dance to it? Can you feel? Can you move along with it? Brother John's a great song for introducing the division of the beat, taking one steady beat and dividing it in half. You hear that middle section where it gets a little faster. The morning bells are ringing, right? It gets a little bit faster there, where there's 2 notes per 1 beat, and 1/8 notes in musical terminology. And they did a fantastic job performing that and staying together. I really do think so, yeah. And then our next song is another favorite of mine, a real favorite of mine in terms of our beginning repertoire, because one of my favorite jazz vocalists, Ella Fitzgerald, actually covered it, and it was one of the hits that her and the Chick Webb Orchestra really launched her career. And she wrote a bridge to it, and it sounds really nice, and so I adapted the Ella Fitzgerald melody, the Ella Fitzgerald version of it, for the kids to sing, and I hope you all enjoy it. Our next tune is is just a vocal tune. They're just singing as a choir, so they're not gonna transition here. It's another one of my all-time favorite jazz artists, Duke Ellington. This is one of his tunes he wrote in 1932. It topped Billboard at number 6 at the day. It's Lady Gaga and Tony Bennett recently covered it. It is It Don't Mean a Thing If It Ain't Got That Swing. It's been a real honor and a privilege to teach this first grade group. They're a real special bunch. We have a lot of good memories this year of all the music we've made, and I pushed them real hard and really tried to make them play on their own real strong, you know, and really give it their best. So another round of applause for all the hard work my first grade has done, yeah. Up next is the second grade, and we're gonna have a brief transition as they get all squared away, and then we'll be off to go with them. Thank you so much for your patience. So in second grade, I like to take the foundation I laid in first grade and start giving them a chance to explore new and different instruments. We began our study of violin this year in second grade. And I also had a number of classes where there's a high percentage of students who are taking piano. And they're, Mr. Streb, can we play piano? Can we play piano? I'm like, oh, no, it's too much. And you know, they wore me down. And I said, all right, after the winter holiday, we'll do it. We'll add a little piano in there. So there's a number of my classes where we actually have them, they know all the songs on violin, piano, and xylophone. We take a 5-note melody, and we learn how to do it between different instrument areas so they can experience a lot of different stuff. So I hope you all enjoyed. It looks like we're about ready. So our first tune, adapted from Mother Goose Nursery Rhyme, this Lightly Row was originally a German folk song, and then they adapted a Mother Goose rhyme to go with this folk melody. And it's a classic on most people learn as beginning instruments. It works well with both steps and skips. It's a great way to get ourselves around the instrument. So, without further ado, Lightly Row. Thank you all very much. Our next number is an old hymn that was adapted and used as a popular jazz standard for especially New Orleans style street bands and swing bands. The Saints Go Marching In is a staple in both beginning musician literature as well as the music of New Orleans. Louis Armstrong famously covered this and has a number of famous recordings of it. This song is great because it really helps kids learn about pickup beats, where the melody starts before the beginning of a measure, for those of you who speak music. Yeah. Well, thank you all very much, and without further ado, the Saints Go Marching In. What a wonderful job performing such a hard piece of repertoire that even professional musicians still play and everything. It's really, really fantastic of them. That was great. And up next, we have, yes, boil them cabbage, as sometimes it's colloquially pronounced bile. It is an old fiddle tune that is often covered by bluegrass musicians and part of the American folklore songbook, right? It is often used as a jam tune where musicians will get together, take turns playing the melody and improvise with one another, as well as take different turns singing the lyrics and altering them to fit their own what's going on in their lives. It's a really neat tune and part of the fabric, the kind of the interwoven fabric of American music. And as we are finishing this transition, I hope you enjoy Boil Them Cabbage Down. The really special thing about this tune is I incorporated multiple parts in our xylophone section down here. So on the melody was our upper xylophones, our soprano xylophones, the very front row. Then in the back 2 rows, the altos and basses played what's called, played a bass line. So they played the roots of the chords that were supporting the harmonies above them. So totally different notes than our melody. And then in my drum section, I had 2 different parts in the drums. I had my low drums hitting on beats 1 and 3, like a bass drum would. And then I had the claves hitting on 2 and 4 to simulate how the basic idea of how a drum set would be accompanying a band. So some real hard work put in by that class to make that happen. So up next, we have a piece featured from our Juilliard Creative Classroom. This next piece of repertoire is written by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, and it is an excerpt from the overture of The Magic Flute, one of his famous operas. In class, in the Juilliard Creative Classroom, they worked on playing this in different sections, and with student conductors and me as well, passing the melody off between different sections when it starts and stops, and then at different times, so they learn how to play in an orchestra and how an orchestra takes a melody and passes it between the sections. So in here, you will hear the second grade playing as a full orchestra themselves without any piano backing them up, so it's just going to be them. And I know they can do a really good job because they have been doing such a fantastic job working on this this semester. So without further ado, the overture from The Magic Flute. Similar to that last song, at the end of this song, we learned the very basics of harmony with our students. I let them choose on one of the 3 notes to make up the chord, and they got to play that note, so all together they make up the foundational harmony of that. So at the very end there, you heard your students, you heard your children playing a beautiful D major triad to end the piece off nicely. And I was just so pleased with how they could look up, follow me, do the whole thing, just like a professional orchestra would. And really, they deserve a second round of applause for all the hard work it takes to really make that happen. Up next is our 3rd graders. But before we get into the 3rd grade performance, I had, in light of our collaborations with the Juilliard School and MIT, I took, myself and Mr. Falcione, the science lab teacher, took 10 3rd grade students to try out what's known as a STEAM project. STEAM is an acronym that stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Math. And the whole idea behind this was a project-based learning approach to combine multiple subjects together to meet multiple learning objectives in different subjects. This particular project involves science, engineering, and music. The A stands for arts, so there's a lot of arts within that umbrella. And so science, technology, science, engineering, and music. At the beginning of our 6-week course, we took a bunch of different instruments in the classroom, and they all took turns playing them and exploring them. And then we wrote down some observations, and then we talked about some kind of basic principles of sound waves and how they vibrate and everything. The next week, just don't touch it. Sorry about that. Anyway, they took their observations, and we designed an experiment to test their observations. So they tested the waveforms. They wrote down. They measured the bars of the xylophones to detect their width, length, height, all that stuff to determine the correlations between size and shape and material and how the sound happens. Then I took a music problem and posed an engineering question to them. They had to make a low, medium, and high drum in order to make a steady rock beat that a normal, like you'd hear in kind of in most sounds, in most kinds of music. And then they had to come in with their instruments, and we had to perform and use them, and then write down what they learned and try and tie in why did they choose. They had to say why they chose their instrument, why they picked it out, in relation to the science behind it. And it was a great success. We had a really good time. Only 6 classes we did all this. It was a real blessing, and I'm excited to show you what they created. Yeah, not so bad for some stuff they built and found around their house, right? Yeah. Before we do our last little presentation on our drums, I would like each student to read something they took away from the class. So, starting with Christian.
Hi, my name is Christian, and I learned that by striking my drum from different places makes a different sounds happen.
Hi, my name is Teddy, and I learned that skinny metal cups make a high pitch.
Hi, my name's Raquel, and I learned that empty objects vibrate more than objects with stuff inside them.
Hi, my name is Matthew, and I learned that wider objects will make a lower pitch and narrower objects will make a higher pitch.
Hi, I'm Hallie, and I learned that bigger objects make deeper sounds and smaller objects make higher sounds.
Hi, my name is Lee Lease. I learned that different materials of the same size vibrate differently.
Hi, my name is Layton, and I learned that striking my drum with different materials makes different sounds.
Hi, my name is Lindsay, and I learned that when an object vibrates slower, it makes a lower sound, and when it vibrates faster, it makes a higher sound.
Hi, my name is Sophie, and I learned that hitting any object with a certain amount of power will change its volume.
Thank you very much. You did a wonderful job. Yeah. This next thing they're about to perform, in class, they just, before we even rehearsed the drum, they just started playing. And as a firm believer in the importance of improvisation as a tool for learning, I was so excited that they improvised so well together without any prompting that I decided to let them do a little improvisation for you. I'm just going to point to one at a time, and they'll just join and they'll build. And I have no idea what's about to happen, but we're all going to find out. Yeah. Well, thank you all so very much. They're just going to put their instruments down and just carefully walk around that microphone. And then we're going to start with the third grade with my colleague, Miss Dorkota, who will take over from here. Thank you all so very much.
Well, great job, first grade, second grade, and third graders who took part in the science project. Why don't we give them another round of applause? I'm Laura Dorkota. I teach second, third, fourth, and fifth grade here. And right now, up next is third grade. And in this grade level, this is the first grade level when we are mostly working on our violin skills, and definitely these students have worked really, really hard. So I would like to thank you all for coming out to this concert to support the students, your children. I had a really great time all this, well, 2 semesters. We didn't have a concert in December, right? So we worked really hard and we prepared all these songs for you. So without further ado, I think I'm just going to give the microphone to our 2 lovely narrators. So please welcome them and they will announce the songs.
Hello and welcome to our Spring Strings concert. I am Jackson and this is Hallie, and we'll be your tour guides for the third grade songs. Please make sure your cell phones are on vibrate before we take off.
Buckle your seatbelts because we're going over the rainbow. Get ready for the classic Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
that was great. Up next, let's listen to the cool harmonies of the song called Charming Snake.
That was music to my ears. Now let's check out France and listen to the French folk song.
Before we perform our last song, we want to thank Dr. Marcy, Mr. King, Mrs. Fagan, and Dr. Nababi for their support of our strings program.
We also want to thank our classroom teachers for their help today and all of you for joining us on our musical tour.
Our last song is The More We Get Together. First, second, and third grade will perform it together because the more we get together, the happier we'll be.
I don't know how I'm going to follow that up. All I wanted to do is just thank a couple people who really, we couldn't have made this possible without you. We have Miss Fagan, Dr. Nabavi, and Dr. Marcy, administrators in the house. We really have to thank them, and all of our administrators, Mr. Jason King at the piano, my fine arts administrator. Really, they really support us in ways that it's unbelievable how they let us have all this time with your children to really make this music happen. I want to thank Steve Sheehan and the entire WPS staff, maintenance and setup crew. All these chairs didn't just appear by themselves, and the stage and the skirting and everything. It was just so wonderful. I want to thank Nick Perdue and the technology team for live streaming the event and bringing down the extra sound equipment to make that happen. It was just so wonderful, and I want to thank my students, volunteer helping out with the sound tonight, Sam Sharma. I appreciate his help as well. And most of all, I really could not do this without my colleague, Miss Dorkota. She's the best. She comes up with great song ideas. Like her ear is fantastic, and I always ask her, am I hearing this right? Is this what's happening? It's really wonderful. And she's actually has her doctorate basically, in violin. She has her doctorate in violin. She's a fantastic performer. And everything, and I really couldn't do this without her and everything. So thank you all so much for listening, and the more we get together. Thank you. That's our show. I hope you all have a great night. Drive home safe, and looking forward to see you all in the Cypress Center next year.